Hello. Hi everyone. Feeling a bit cramped because I've put this flower there. It's nice though, isn't it? Pretty. I thought it would kind of go with the tones of the earrings. So I'm gonna wait till people join in before I start talking about what I'm wearing and showing you it. And in the meantime, I'm just going to cut my notches and hello. Cut my notches and take my pins out. That's the plan. Hey, Kim. Oh, go away. I'm getting little, How is the internet? How's the... Hi, Lorianne. Hi, Tammy. How is the visual today, guys? Is it any better than yesterday? Bonjour à tous. Bonjour, Catherine. Hopefully it's a bit better today. Oh, and guten Tag from Hamburg. Yes, better. Good. Wonderful. Oh, we're international again, guys. So international. So I'm just cutting my notches. That's great. Hi, Anessa. Just cutting my notches in whilst I'm waiting for everyone to come on board online. We've got Alex today. Thanks. It's not actually a dress, but I'm going to show you in a second. Alex, oh, she's there. Alex is answering queries today. Just so you all know, Rosie's fine. She's just a little bit swamped with copy shopping printing. So Alex is kindly doing all of the answering this week. Does Scotland count as international? Of course it does. Oh, hello. Someone in Adelaide, Australia as well. Hi there. Good evening. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Good night. Okay, so we've got this. We've got that. So I didn't have time because I was finishing what I'm wearing right until the last minute before putting Jazzy down for her nap. And so I didn't have time to fully cut out what I need for today, but it's all good because I thought we'd just focus on the bodice today. So that's what we're gonna do. So I'm just quickly finish these notches and then we'll start. Did I put that in? Yes. So I'm making mine out of the Wildflower in Silver. Hi guys, hi. Oh, thanks. Hi Pauline. I've got dressed up for you guys today. I thought I'd be like, well, I try and dress up every day, but extra dressed up. Feel like this is a bit of a summer party dress, isn't it? So I thought, and it's a bit sort of Spanish-y. So this is my like, hola earrings. These I think were from Accessorize last year. I do love a tassel earring, but I'm terrible for losing my earrings because, yeah, don't worry, I'm going to show you it. Like building tension, aren't I? Not tension, building suspense. Yes, so tassel earrings. I'm always losing earrings because I often am out and I'll wear them all day and then I'll get fed up or I can't talk on the phone, so I'll take one out and then I'll take two out. And then I'll put them in my bag and then I'll lose one or I'll break one by putting it in my bag and forgetting. Waffle. Okay. Welcome everybody. So today we are going to be starting the Eve dress and I am wearing a hack of that. Let me show you. So I decided not to make another Eve dress because I'm going to make an Eve dress with you guys. And so what I'm wearing is basically I just chopped off. I'll show you the bit that I did. I just chopped it off the skirt at that point. I didn't do anything different. So I followed all the instructions in the same way. I just made this shorter because the tie is really quite long. And yeah, and what I love about it, I'm not a huge fan of peplums, but this is not big hippie out there peplum. It's pretty neat, isn't it? I'm really loving it. I think it's fab, and I'm not sure if anyone else has yet done one of these, but we'll get a photo of it. I still haven't photographed my pajamas, so I will pin my dad down after after this once, and I'll get him to take photo of this top and also of the pajamas. Now, this fabric we had for sale. I do believe it's sold out, but I emailed our supplier and he said that he's got more. So I just need to order some more. Just by a show of, just because I don't know how much to order, who would be interested in getting some of this fabric? I mean, not that I'm going to be able to okay. We've got one taker. So I don't want to, at the moment, we're trying not to obviously spend too much money and buy things that we're just going to sit on the stock. So I'm trying to be cautious with my ordering of fabric amounts. But that's good. It looks like we've got a few people that are keen. So I'll order the same again. I think I had 20 meters last time, so I'll order that again, and that should be about 7 or 8 dresses. Yeah. Worth. But yeah, the great thing about this, guys, is you can oh, there's more people. Okay, looks like I better get more then. Okay, so there's the great thing about this is it only takes about 1 meter, and I think the Eve takes 3.2 meters, so this is great. Oh, I'm seeing some of the names that I feel like I'm writing on Eileen, Val, Catherine or Caroline, was it? I feel like I'm writing them often on the parcels. You're very good loyal customers of ours. Right, on parcels, if anyone has ordered stuff, I am currently processing orders from the 24th. I'm going to take orders from 22nd and 23rd and any other kind of funny outstanding ones to the supermarket. I'm going to take them to the supermarket, guys. That'll be good. I'm going to take them to the post office today. So, but yeah, Rosie's around. Rosie's a bit ahead with the old copy shop orders, but obviously fabric orders take a bit longer. Right, let's get going. I'm going to have to keep referring to these because I might just go off on one, and it's quite good to say why I'm doing things the way I am if it's not actually the way that it's written. Oh, before I forget, this is the Eve dress, or will be the Eve dress. That's what we're making. You can buy it online. You can buy it in a beautiful collectible printed pattern version with our lovely vintage style packaging, or you can buy it as a PDF. And I'm sure that Alex will be putting a link up to it soon. There is a link below. It should be ideally made out of a drapey fabric. So this is crepe, as is the fabric that I'm making. You could make it out of this ghost, but you just have to be careful because it could crease when you sit down. So it depends on where you're going to be wearing it. And you can also make it out of a really soft cotton lawn. You could make it out of my cotton lawns, actually. It would work in that. And we have got a sample made in a similar cotton lawn. So I'd say this is an intermediate pattern. No zips. Love that. But there is some cotton stay taping, and yeah, there is some sort of, you're obviously working with this on the bias, a bit fiddly. We have got some fabrics still in stock online that would be suitable, so you can have a look there. And like I said, I'll be replenishing those this afternoon. I'll order some more in. I've also already the stretch cotton in all the lemons and the royal leaves and the ruby forest. That's sold out, so I'm going to order some more of that as well. Unfortunately, I can't get any more spot polka dots. The cup size of the Eve will be drafted to, well, it's probably a B cup. All of our patterns are around a B cup. So, oh yes, and thank you to those of you that donated yesterday, much appreciated. Rosie reports back on our donations every morning on our team meeting, and it always gets us going, and kind of like, yeah, it's a really nice sort of incentive, like yay, you know, people are enjoying it. Plus we had the loveliest message on Instagram from someone, I'm not sure if that person is watching now, but to say thank you to my mum and dad for looking after Jasmine so that I can do this. And I read it to them at lunch just now, and they were like, oh, that's so nice. Who's this person? I was like, well, I don't know them, mum, but they're one of our customers, and how lovely. So yes, anyway, if you want to donate to at the end of this video, if you think it's worth anything, then you can buy us a coffee and the link's just gone up. Right, we've got lots to get through, haven't we? So, oh yeah, instructions. So the instructions say to start with the skirt. That's what I remember, but I'm not going to do that because I think the skirt is really easy in terms of the initial bit. So all of these stages I'm going to suggest that you all do at home if you are going to try and keep up with this sew along, because it's really straight seams, but I'll talk you through them at the end. And I thought it'd be much better for us to go straight in with this bodice. So the first things we're doing is we are overlocking or zigzagging the waist seam and the side seam edges of the bodice pieces, so of the front bodice pieces. So we're going to go with this piece first, okay? And we're going to be doing some overlocking. So I should push this away and I will, oh gosh, so much fabric. Yeah, red nails are back. Yes, they are back. I could not bear it anymore. It was depressing me looking at my awful nails without it. They're very short, but at least they're now red. And I've gone with like a kind of corally orange red. I thought it was a bit more summery. I tend to wear like a more of a darker red in the winter. Oh, I'm going to let Alex answer any of these questions because I'm going to be focusing on this. I'm going to try not to sew through a finger today. Again. Okay, so the bottom edge is what we're going to be doing. Now as with all, just move this further back. Oh yeah, we move that bit out a bit. As with all single, when you interface on the single, you need to be careful that you don't take off any of the seam allowance. So if that means you want to disengage the blade, you can. I still like to have the blade there because there could be just little nicks where I haven't cut perfectly and it just smooths those off. So we're doing this bottom waist seam. Oops. And then we are doing this seam. I also think I should tell you, I'm trying to remember to talk to you about my size because I do think that's really useful. So I'm 5'6½". Half matters all the most. I don't know what that is in centimetres. And my bust is 33½, my waist is 27, and my hips are 38½ or 38. Those are my measurements. Generally, on Sew Over It block, I am longer in the waist and in the crotch kind of area. The crotch is a combination of being long from here to the seat, but also the fact that I've got a sway back and a bit of a curvy bottom. So we always have to add length there, and sometimes I don't, so I haven't cheated the waist on this. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Because what I find is if I make to exactly my length, it's not always as flattering. Sometimes shortening the waist is more flattering if you're long in the waist, if that makes sense. And in terms of bust, cut and bra size, I think that's also quite useful to share with you. So I am currently in a 32C. Now I know you'd probably think, oh, you're not a C cup, but you know how the cup size of a C, when it's small, around the back, it is a smaller cup. That makes sense. So yes, so but essentially our patterns are drafted to a B cup, and that's fine for me. So I wonder if we should have a page on the side that's like Lisa's measurements, although they do fluctuate like everybody's. So we'd have to update it. Last updated on this date. But I do, I think that context is quite useful for you guys, just to kind of know what size I am, because, you know, you can judge that from the screen or from a photo, but it's not really that reliable, is it? And apparently the camera adds pounds. Ooh. Okay, so we have done those two, so that's that bit. Ooh, it'd be helpful if I held it the right way around, wouldn't it? So we've done that. Okay, so now we're going to do our ease stitching with the sewing machine. So I'm going to put Mr. Overlocker on the floor, and I'm going to take Mr. Sewing Machine back. Away. Okay, and we are going to be doing a gathering stitch on the little shoulder pieces. Now, I get really confused about where these go, so I have to just check. What I did, you want to make sure you're, oh no, we're not doing the gathering stitch on these shoulder pieces, that's fine. We're going to attach them next. We're doing the gathering pieces on the front bodice. Wake up, Lisa. But yes, I'll have to explain, because you have to check that when you're attaching the this little piece here, that you are putting it the right way around. So gather stitching along the shoulder seam here, so that this will gather up into this little bit here. So we are going to make sure that that sits within the seam allowance. I've put mine onto the longest stitch length. I'm going to do my first one at 10 or 3/8 of an inch, so 1 centimetre. And then I'll do my second one around 1.3. It doesn't matter if you slightly go over, but you just have to then take it out. In fact, one of mine I did have to, so. Ooh. Let me show you, like so, okay? So I've started running regularly again. I ran yesterday morning and I ran this morning, and I've realised that this is the key. You know, it takes a while, doesn't it, to find your rhythm at the moment, but then also just to find out what's working. And I was trying to go for runs after I finished this. But then if I felt like I had so much work on, or sometimes I feel really tired after doing these sew-alongs, I just think, oh, I can't be bothered. And then I just hadn't run for over a week, and I was feeling really like, it definitely helps my mood running. So I've decided not to run silly lengths, but I just go for about 3.5 mile run every morning, and it's lovely. It takes me just about half an hour. The downside is I turn up for the team meeting looking like, well, I mean, Alex, I looked like a scarecrow this morning, didn't I? My hair was all over the place. I was sweating still, bright red. And I came on late, so my face must have just popped up on the Google Hangout and being like, oh, hi, Lisa. Sorted myself out for you guys. Right, so we've got those two. Now we need to stitch them onto this, but it's the unnotched edge that we're stitching them onto. However, you need to make sure that you're putting the right side on the right side, because you could essentially get them the wrong way around. So what I found useful is to get the back. So I'm going to lay a front here, and then I'm going to get the back bodice. You can't see what I'm doing, can you? Sorry, I'll have to explain what I'm doing. I'm getting the back corresponding back bodice piece, and then I'm going to make sure that I'm going to put the right side on. And that is that side. So if you look at the back, there's the 2 notches that are slightly closer to the neckline than to the armhole. And those 2 notches correspond with the 2 notches there. So you just need to make sure that, because they are off center, you need to make sure that you're getting it right. Essentially, that curve is your neckline, and the straighter edge is for your armhole. So that might also help. But I found this useful when I was making this yesterday, or starting it. That's, yeah, what I did, just to be extra sure. So I'm now going to pull up my ease stitching, gather stitching, you know what I mean. Gather that up, like so. So I'm kind of just roughly gather it like that. And now I'm going to place right sides together, so unnotched edge with this. And we're going to pin it from the gathered side, because we want to sew it from that side. Where are my pins? There. Oh, Alex looks like she's busy with questions today. Sorry guys, if there's anyone who missed the start, I'm wearing the Eve dress. I'm wearing a hack of it where I chopped off the skirt. There was nothing else that I changed. It was just literally shortening the skirt. So it has a peplum, so it looks like a peplum instead of a skirt. And this fabric, I am going to order some more, and it sounds like a lot of you want it. So I'm going to see how much he's got and order a good amount so that you can all get your hands on it. I do believe it's sold out. So I'm going to try and show you what I do with a pin when I'm doing this. I sort of don't always realise that I'm doing something useful, but that was useful. I suddenly thought, oh, I should show them that. Okay, so I'm pinning it from this side because we're going to sew it from this side. It's always better to sew from the gathered side so you can see what they're doing. I've obviously eased it there, but I want to move them along. So I often use the pin because then it helps distribute them really evenly and delicately. And you often find if you're trying to move it with your fingers, you'll move the back fabric as well. So it's just a more accurate way of easing. So again, here I'm just at my last section there, and I'm just going to pull that up like that. Okay. Bent pins. Still haven't had the time to sort those out. I think it's a little bit more there, isn't it? I'm just going to move that along, and then I'll show you. Like that. Now, I never do my easing as well, my gathering here at the ends, because of the fact that that's going to be the seam allowance. So you don't want gathering into the seam allowance there. So you just always sort of start it within the seam allowance at the edges. I've done one, let's do the other. Just seen, oh, nearly forgot eek. Ooh, what's that? I did see someone just pop up saying, oh, I thought you only sold the Lisa Comfort fabrics. Well, since lockdown, we've started to get a few fabrics in delivered here to me because I'm doing the fabric and pattern side of the online shop, because we realise that people might not have fabrics for the projects that we're doing, and obviously they can't pop out in the normal way. Plus, it's kind of, in a way, it's just like, do you know what, I want to do this. I don't want to spend ages checking whether it's the right fabric or not. And you can see me made up in one of the fabrics as well. So I'm making one in the fabric as well that we have on sale, so that you guys can see it made up and decide whether you like it. And we're hoping to continue this. So we're not going to go back to having a big fabric shop because we made that decision that it wasn't worthwhile. But we are intending to carry on these sew-alongs for sure. And I think one thing that I've realised is that we did have some great fabrics that were hard to source from other online companies, so you wouldn't be able to necessarily get them elsewhere. And so I'd like to go back to stocking some of those really good fabrics they're a bit of a sew over it special. So even though they're not our fabrics, that we kind of, we know they're perfect for some of our patterns. So we're probably going to go into doing something like that. But at the moment, I'm just buying fabrics for the sew-alongs each week, and whilst we're in lockdown mode and doing this regularly, every week, then it will be buying fabric every week for whatever pattern. And this afternoon, I'm going to be ordering some viscoses for the pussy bow blouse next week. And yeah. But then coming out of lockdown, I quite like to just, have a kind of classic collection of types of fabric. So yeah, like the stretch cotton. Yes, we are now shipping to the US. We are not shipping copy shop patterns, but we are shipping fabric now. We started that at the weekend. So who knows how long it will take, but we're only offering standard international, standard tracked, international tracked, because we don't want things to be going missing at the moment, and the Royal Mail is very overwhelmed. So even if you've received a dispatched email from us about your order, in the UK it can take up to 2 weeks to come. It is really overwhelmed at the moment. Probably London more, so it's probably a better chance that I'm up here at the moment, because I imagine the post office up here isn't as rammed. Right. Oh, haven't told you what I'm doing now. I've just gone straight into it. So I've pinned both of them now, and now I'm sewing 1.5 cm seam allowance, 5/8 of an inch. Make sure you've popped it back onto a regular stitch length. I'm sewing from the gathered side up. Sorry guys, battery again. Oh, thank you. It's lovely, isn't it? I'm now like, how did I not think to do this as a top before? Okay, and there's another silver lining. If it wasn't for this situation, I would maybe never have thought of that. I do love me a hack, especially if it's an easy one. Yep, copy shop patterns are going to the UK, just not to outside of the UK. UK customers are keeping poor old Rosie busy enough. Oh, okay. So today is my sister's 40th birthday. I feel sad for her, although she was having a nice tea in bed when we FaceTimed this morning. And my mum did what she always does on your birthday when she talks about, you know, this time 40 years ago. So my sister was loving that. Your father was, and apparently Dad went back in the day then. I think, like, you know, you don't, the men didn't hang around as much. I mean, when I had Jasmine, Matt stayed overnight in the chair next to my bed, but apparently Dad went home. And then I think Anna was born about 5:30 in the morning. So Dad went home to sleep, and then he missed both afternoon and evening visiting times. He was like, so Mum was having a go at him about that today when we were FaceTiming all of us. And he was like, but I have been a good dad to you, Anna. And she's like, yeah, Dad, of course you have. You just, you know, went home to have a sleep when I was born. But also, like, back then, women stayed in for so long, didn't they? I mean, not so long, but the right amount of time. My mum was in for 7 days with Anna and I, and they were both sort of textbook births. Oh, no. Waffling on and didn't realise that I've lost my thread here. That is not good, is it? Just redo my bobbin, guys. Yeah, so anyway, my sister hasn't really got many presents because she's like, I don't even feel like asking for stuff because I don't really know what I would like. Yeah, sounds like husbands did that. Yeah, so she's like, I don't really know, because I sort of like, I was going to get her, I wasn't going to make her, unfortunately, because I don't have the time, but also I think she's a bit like, I've had all of your makes, Lisa. But I was going to buy her something from Suzanne, because she's been loving my Suzanne stuff, so I really wanted to get her a nice, like, really special outfit from Suzanne. But she's like, I'm just not interested, because I don't know when I'm going to be able to wear it anywhere. So I was like, okay, well, once this is all over, I will order you a Suzanne outfit, and then you can rock out of the lockdown stylishly. Yeah, Mum and Dad, and she said the same to Mum and Dad. She's like, I don't even know what I want. Apparently they bought her a darts board, because they've been playing darts in the garden after the kids go home with, like, something that's not a proper darts board or something. I think they borrowed it from the neighbour, and so she's got that. Anyway, this evening, what we're doing at 5 is we are calling her back, and she's going to have her birthday cake, I think, with her children and her partner, and then we're going to be FaceTiming in and having a bit of Prosecco. So we'll all be toasting her, even though we're not physically together. We did that for my mum's birthday, and what was really nice actually for my mum's birthday, obviously Dad and I were here, so we had a cake for her, but my sister made a cake down in Bristol, so they could sing her happy birthday. It was a sweet idea. So the children there wanted to. Ooh, right, start again with that one. Sorry guys, got like so many threads now. So I definitely want to overlock these seams together, but I'm not going to do it now just because it's like up and down with the overlocker. So, and they also need pressing as well towards the little shoulder piece yoke. But I'm not going to do that now because I've got the sewing machine out. So I'm going to attach these to the back instead. So I'm just going to get rid of my threads. Okay. So I'm going to take that. So that looks already really pretty. Makes up really nice in this. So I really don't have anything in this. I think we made a pussy bow blouse with a shoot, but I think that's gone into the shop for sample. So I haven't got anything in my wardrobe in this fabric. So I just thought it's, obviously I've got it in the darker, but not the, not this silver one. That's the wrong side. So you've got your notches now to help you correspond. So there we go. And liney uppy. So right sides together. Line up the neckline edge, raw edges, and then line up the notches there. We filmed the garden with Dad yesterday. That'll be up on Lisa Comfort Home soon. Ta-da. Just letting you know. Okay, and I don't know if I was meant to do the back first. Yeah, I don't think it really matters. We need to stitch the centre back of the back bodice together, but we can do that afterwards. You know, I think once you have kind of made a few things in in dressmaking, you realise that, you know, where you can mix up the order of things and where you can't. And obviously when we write it in a sensical way that it, you know, it makes more sense to do it in that order, but it doesn't really matter. So for me, because I'm doing these little shouldery pieces, it makes sense for me to carry on with them, and I can very easily join that centre back seam afterwards. I do need to overlock it as well, so kind of means that I don't have to get the overlocker out yet. Are we overlocking them separately? Yeah, we are. Okay, so that's now stitched as well. Stitched, pinned. I am feeling a bit tired today. I think you can tell when I'm tired because I get more muddled with my words. I had to fight everything in me to not fall asleep with Jasmine just now. Okay. And then this one. Okay, and trim those off. If you want to know what my sister looks like, she's on our Instagram feed. She modelled my sprinkles collection. I think we've got a photo of her in a shift dress in the teal and also in Lizzie in the cinnamon. Yeah. She was a good model. She likes the camera, my sister. Or rather, the camera likes her. Okay. I think we're at the point now where we need to overlock, so I'm going to put this back up here. Take that out and get the overlocker back up. Okay, so we've got quite a bit to overlock. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to overlock these seams together and those ones. We're also just going to keep all of my pressing open of seams together. Or rather, sorry, pressing of seams, not necessarily pressing them open. I'm going to do all my pressing of this little section in one go. Again, we would tell you to do it as you go along, but even though it's slightly more awkward, it's absolutely fine to do it in one go. Saves you getting up and down to the iron as well. Okay. Oh no, I was meant to, oh no, I'm overlooking. Okay, so now I'm going to overlock the centre back seam singly. So you need to make sure that we don't shave any of the seam allowance off. I'm just going to be trimming off the little fray bits. I'm being careful I don't trim anything else off of the seam allowance. Get the stay taping done with you because I think that's the trickiest bit. We should try. Okay, let's trim off those bits. So if we trim off all of your threads, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch that centre back seam together, and then we'll go to the iron and we'll press all these seams that we've just done in one go. So I'm thinking about in my new house how I'm going to organise my sewing things, because it is limited space wise. There's no room in my bedroom to sew. There's not even room to really do my makeup. I'm going to do that in the bathroom. I've bought a big vanity sink with drawers for stuff for my makeup in there. I reckon I can do my hair probably in the bedroom. Thinking all these things through as I'm doing up the house, what I'm going to be doing in each room. In the dining room is where I'll sew. But obviously I want to have all my stuff there. So I did have that big blue cupboard that was in the kitchen in the last house. It was painted in the Annie Salona Buisson. And so right sides together with your centre back seam. I'm just pin that. Yeah, so I thought I might have that in the dining room, and then that can be my sewing cupboard, because when I had the flat, before we had the house, I used to use that as a sewing cupboard, and I thought it's got like two big cupboard doors. I can definitely fit the two machines in there. And I thought on the inside of the door, I could maybe try and find something to mount to organise things. Organise like my threads and stuff. Some clever system or something. Why did you overlock your edges first? Risk, yeah, it could stretch it a little bit. I don't want to have a bulky seam at the back, so that's why I've done them so that they'll be separate and I can press the seam open. Otherwise it can be bulky also when it joins in with the waist. I just like the seam on the back seam to be pressed open for something like this. And there is some slight shaping in it, because often you don't have you know, the centre back seam is straight, but we have shaped this, and that's one of the really pretty things about this dress, is that it follows quite neatly the back, and that's, I think, yeah, really elegant. So that's why we kept a seam there when it came to the design. Okay, so let's stitch this one. So 5/8 of an inch, 1.5 centimetres. Oh, I should also say that the scrubs video of the second part, so the trousers, is now up as well. So if you're sewing scrubs and you want to just check on anything, obviously I'm using the pattern, certain pattern, but the pattern I'm using is the one that the Scrub Hub here in the UK is using. So it's, I think, the pattern that a lot of people are using, and I imagine the construction is very similar, so I talk through various bits and bobs. I also fill in the gaps because the instructions are quite basic, so I imagine they've just been put together very quickly, so I kind of do a bit more of hand holding through them in case if you need that. So that's up on this channel. I'm sure Alex will pop a link to it shortly. But yeah, if any of you are doing that, and I do intend to do a mask one as well, but probably not till the end of the week. I'll be able to film it and then edit it. It takes time, but yeah, that's on my list as well. Right, guys, time to, oh, thanks, Alex. She's popped that up. Time to do some ironing. So let's switch Mr. Iron on. Okay, get this up. So for my wildflower crepe fabric, this heat setting 2 I use with a bit of steam. So we're going to be pressing the seam allowances open. It's not warm. Come on, it's not yet warmed up. My tea cold, probably. Lukewarm. Lukewarm. So pressing that seam open down that centre back, lovely. So satisfying pressing seams open, I find. And then we're going to press these shoulder seams as well. I'm going towards the back with the shoulder seam, and with the yoke seam I'm pressing it up towards the yoke. Just be careful, you can't see what I'm doing, but when you press the yoke seam, don't press beyond the seam line, because you don't want to press flat those lovely gathers, because that will ruin them. So let's do the same there and there. Okay. Oh, we haven't done, oh yeah, I was meant to overlock that, wasn't I? Oh, okay. We haven't overlocked, I should have, when I was overlocking the back edges, the centre back edge, I should have done the side seams as well. So I'm just going to quickly do those, because then we can stitch that as well. Excuse me, guys, it's sometimes also the challenge of chatting and seeing the screen and then remembering a useful order of things. Okay, so we've done the front gathering and overlocking on the front side seam, so I'm just going to do the back one. And after we've done this, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to start to do our cotton taping. Okay, can go back down. Just take that out and we'll put the iron back in, because once we press this open, finish sewing this, we're going to have to press that seam open as well. Okay. There's the pins. There they are. Okay. So I'm very pleased. Jasmine is starting to learn the names of all these lovely animals and birds and things over here. So Mum, they go on a little walk every day, and Mum came back today. She's learnt the name of two new birds. One was, what did she call it? A sky, so it was a skylark. I think she called it a sky lamb. But yeah, I love that she's learning and getting all this education about countryside stuff that she wouldn't normally. So one thing we need to be aware of when we're sewing down the side seams is the right hand side. There is there should be a notch on both sides because you cut them as a pair, but on the right hand side we are going to keep it open. So on this side we need to have stop at the notch, because that's going to be where our necktie, our waist tie goes, okay? So, 1.5 centimetres, 5/8 of an inch. I'm just annoyed I didn't cut that, that's going to bug me. Just trim off that tail. Okay, so we're stopping there and reversing at that notch. So just to show you there, that's where I've stopped. So that, and then this will get attached to the waist seam of the skirt, but this will be a little opening that you can put the tie through. So let's just stitch the other one. We'll then press open and then we'll do the cotton tape. Might run out of time, but I'm not in a big rush, guys, so if it runs over a little bit, that's fine by me. Unless Jazzy comes through. If it's after 2, though, I feel like Mum and Dad have had a bit of a break, so I don't mind going and getting them. But from 12:30 to 2, that's meant to be their break in the middle of the day. Just chill out, have a nap, read a book, whatever they want. Not be bothered by me or Jasmine. Oopsies. Right, let's press that seam open. Oh! Come on, oh, he's on standby. He's on standby. Pressy open. And then same here. And just, oops, the daisies. You've got you need to just continue the seams to be pressed open even where the gap is. So even though you haven't stitched right to the waist seam, just press that bit open as well. Because when you're stitching it to the waist seam, when you're stitching it to the skirt at the waist seam, you'll want those pressed open. Okay. So now we're on to cotton tape. So we are very much muddling it up. So we're now going to hop to the stay taping, the cotton tape, and there should be a chart at the beginning. Let's just have a look. Which page? Here we are, the stay tape chart. This is what you can use so that you know what length you need to cut. So all the measurements there, so exactly. So what we've done is we've broken it down. Do you always overlock before sewing a seam then? No, I don't, Judy. I only do it, it's difficult. It's like sometimes you feel for this dress, it's important because of you're pressing things open, so for the little hole for the waist seam. It's just to reduce the bulk, but often you can do it together. Something like the ultimate trousers we wouldn't, or something like the pencil skirt, the ultimate pencil skirt we wouldn't, because they're very close fitting and so it can look bulky and you can see that ridge of the seam allowance through. So yes, stay shape chart. So it's broken down into the front bodice, what that distance is, the yoke and the back neck, and then it's added all together. So you've got that, obviously you've got the whole, you've got this section and then you've got 2 front sections. So that's all there, and then so you don't actually have to do any addition. And it also includes the 6 centimetre for adjustment if you need to. Now, I obviously recommend trying this on before. Actually, no, I would do this now. I probably would do this. No. Excuse me. You need to try it on before this, because you need to, if you need to adjust the shoulder seams, you don't want the stay tape in at that point. So try it on. Check that you're happy with it, and then if you need to adjust the shoulder seams or the side seams, you'll just have to pin it closed so that you can see what the wrap would be like. But it may be that if you're short in the body, you do need to adjust this and pull this up a little bit. And you might want to take it from here and also from here, so that you're not kind of, yeah, you'll see where you'll want that nice gathering to sit. So you could just take it from the shoulder seam and then it would just pull it up higher. So that, I'll leave that decision to you, but you do want to do that before you put your cotton tape on. And also, if you are finding that you find it too low, lifting it at the shoulders can also bring up the wrap as well, depending. Okay, right, so I'm going to cut my length. Now, if you are using a pattern where it doesn't give you the length that you need to cut, then what you have to do is you have to measure the pattern. You don't measure the garment because it could and probably has already stretched. So you measure the pattern and you take off your seam allowances, and then you use that as, yeah, and then you use that and you just add them up. So you sort of measure this section and that section and that section, just what we've done. Take off your seam allowances, 123. There we go. And then, yeah, go from there. Add it all together. So you always measure the pattern, never the actual garment. Right, so here it is. What I'm going to do first is I'm folding it in half, so I get the center point, half point there. And then I'm going to start and do one side at a time. So we're pinning this onto the right side. Although actually you could pin it onto the wrong side. I always pin it onto the right side. I'm just wondering if, no, we pinned it onto the wrong side. I pinned mine onto the right side on here, but it doesn't mean you see it, but it didn't really bother me because I overlocked. Onto the wrong side, guys. Wake up, Lisa. I did actually see it. We don't know where it's come from, but there's a Red Bull in the fridge. And I was making my tea. Oops. Sorry, don't know when that froze. So yeah, I did see in the fridge, I was making my tea and I don't know where it's come from. Mum and Dad weren't sure, but there's a Red Bull in the fridge. And I was like, really could do with that. But then I thought, I don't want to be buzzing out. Buzzing for the rest of the day. Right, so I'm now going to, it's unlikely that around the neckline it's stretched as much as it has down here, because that's the bit that's on the bias. So I'm just going to just pin around the neckline first. I wish you could see it more clearly what I'm doing. It's annoying, isn't it? And I'm basically putting the edge of the cotton tape right on the edge of the fabric. Now, I'm going to take the end of this and I'm going to pop that at the bottom of the waist seam. Okay, and then you can see it's stretched. So what we're going to do is we're going to ease it in. So you line up, you get a little section and then you push very gently the fabric into the stay tape. So, oops, so like that. And then it helps if you've got a bit of, if you've got slightly damp fingers, because then you can move the fabrics like that. So you're essentially doing that movement. So if you think my thumb is where the cotton tape is and the fabric is there, so that movement moves the fabric in, like pushes it back where it's stretched. Quite a difficult thing to show without looking up close. And you want to keep checking to see how much more you're going to have to do. If you find that you need to do a lot of easing, then you probably want to put your pins in or do little sections of it, little smaller sections, be more regular with your pins basically. Hoping I'm going to be able to get all of that in. Just shows you though, you have no idea, you think that it hasn't stretched at all, and then you do something like this and it has. Oh, Kangan! Hi! Oh, guys, Kangan used to be our main photographer. She's a friend of mine, and she's also a very, very talented textile print designer. She's now teaching at Central St Martin's, Miss Fancy Pants, and yeah, she also took me to Delhi when I first started going to India and didn't have the confidence going by myself. I went with her and I had the most wonderful time. Leafy fabric, is that, you mean the royal leaves fabric? Oh, you mean the cotton? I think I have asked for that. What I'm going to do is I'll have a look after this at what's sold out, and I'll then see if I can order some more. Oh, I missed what you said, but I'll have a look at that afterwards, Kangan. Oh. Okay, right guys, there we go. It's been eased in. Okay. So then you do the other side and stitch that. Oh my goodness, we are running out of time, but I'm going to pin this properly and I'm going to talk through what we're going to do. So we're going to pin this along here, carrying on, and when you sew it from the centre back down on one side and then the centre back down on the other side, because if you were to do it like that, you'll end up getting leafy tropic fabric. Okay, yeah, I'll have a look at that. If you do it in one continuous motion, you can get distorting, pulling, and kind of like it kind of pulls around. So you want to do it in two sections. So yes, so what we're going to do, so you need to put your stay tape in, stitching it in the middle, but no further over than the middle of the tape, because we want to make sure we're not going into our seam allowance, which is 1 centimetre around the neckline. So you're going to stitch that in. Then you need to overlock it. So you overlock the edge so that the raw edge of the fabric is finished, and it's nice if you overlock it with the cotton tape as well. And I'll show you what that looks like. Obviously I put my cotton tape on the wrong way, but yeah. And then you're going to, after that, I think if we all get to that point, I think, could you do I'm just wondering if you can do your hemming. You could hem that. I think we could hem that. Okay. And then you want to press it over by 1 centimetre. So folding that neckline edge over by 1 centimetre, making sure you can't see your cotton stay tape. And then we're going to stitch that down, and then that's finished. And then if you can also do all the steps with the skirt, which is really quite simple, it's just overlocking and stitching straight seams. So then tomorrow when we come back, we will have we'll be joining the skirts, and we'll be doing the sleeves, and we'll be doing the necktie. So not necktie, waist tie. I'm going to try and sew one of these at least with you though today. Pink Panther. Where'd that come from? Oh gosh. Is Jessica Rabbit in the Pink Panther? Is that where she came from? Okay, that's now done. So, one side at a time. So I'm going to go down this side first. So I'm starting at the centre back, and I'm going to stitch through the middle of my cotton tape. Just so you know, guys, ooh, I've got that much left, quite a bit of the white, and I've got a lot of black. So if you haven't got any cotton tape, I am shipping that out at the moment. But you could just use satin ribbon instead. If you don't have it, it doesn't have to be cotton tape. It could be double back satin ribbon, as long as it's not grosgrain ribbon, which is quite chunky, isn't it? Or if you've got any organza, you could use organza. So If you've got any organza at home, you can make a really delicate stay tape, and that's what we used to use in couture. And what you do is you cut bias strips of it, so about 1.5 centimeters wide, and then you iron those strips and stretch them as you iron them. And what you eventually do is you sort of do that a few times. If you think you've got like the length on the iron and you're pulling it here and the iron's there, and you just kind of keep stroking it down, and eventually it will stretch as much as it's ever going to stretch, and then it's a stable tape, and then you can stitch that in. Obviously it also gets thinner. But yeah, I can't remember if we've got a pattern where we use it, but if I'm ever making anything very delicate, and I need to stay it, if it's with a sort of chiffon fabric or very soft silk, then I stay it with organza rather than cotton tape. In bridal wear, we used to just have like a bag of them already made up, so it was like an intern job to make up the bias tape. They used to use them around the necklines of, you used to have to stay, if you have like a strapless bodice, you really don't want that stretching because you're really pulling it quite tight, especially if it's laced and things, and so you don't want the neckline stretching, so they stay that, and that's really, you don't also want added bulk. It's often that you've got like a basic poplin corset, and then you've got a very delicate fabric that's mounted onto it, so organza does the job perfectly. Oh, I've got a little bit here that's being naughty. I need to re-ease that bit in. Okay. Mr. Naughty. Mr. Naughty Naughty. Oops. Sorry guys, I'm just going to concentrate on this a sec. Okay, one is done guys, so I can show you that up close now. That's my stay tape on. That's what it looks like from the right side, and now that is not going to stretch anymore. So I now need to go and do the other side, but I'm not going to do that with you guys because we're running out of time. So just to recap, what we're going to do is we need to finish the stay tape. Then if you can overlock it so that you're obviously not shaving off any of the stay tape, but just neatening up those edges. Then if you press that over, and you're going to then stitch that, press that down by just 1 centimetre, so your seam allowance. If it ends up being a little bit more, that's fine, but obviously much more, you're going to end up with more of a plunging neckline because you're taking away more of the neckline. And then you're going to edge stitch that nice and close to the edge or halfway through the tape if you prefer, so about 5 mils. And then once you've done that, if you can also sew up your skirts. So at the beginning, it's this section. We need to just sew the skirt pieces up. Just be careful on the right side of the skirt. You also have got to leave that gap that we left at the side seam of the bodice. That is it for today, guys. I'll be back tomorrow at the same time. Oh, we just got a question. How wide do you cut it? Test it. Just test it. Just test a little bit and see what happens, because I guess each organza is woven slightly differently. So yes, I will be back at the same time tomorrow for finishing up more. Yeah, if you want to get the pattern, you can get the pattern. The link is in the comments below, as is our donation page. If you want to give us a donation towards this, that would be much appreciated, but please don't worry if you can't afford it. It's not essential. I am wearing the Eve dress, which is what we're doing here, and this is a top version. This is literally just chopped off the top. Okay, so you could also make one of these. Right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Have lovely afternoons. Bye.